Hi there, and welcome to this final lesson, bringing it all together. This is the mega lesson. This is the lesson where we're going to take everything we've learned about keyframes, shape layers, transfer modes, all that kind of stuff, and bring it all together into one big project that we're going to create right now. And it's going to be badass. So let's just jump right in and get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to create several pre-comps that have different shape layers in them. This is going to be like a glitchy project. So a glitchy project has a lot of fast moving pieces to it. So how can we create those fast moving pieces? Well, a great way is to use shape layers. So let's just call this composition. Let's go up to composition settings and let's first of all bring it down to 1 second. So we'll go 0, 1. We'll keep it 1920. Actually, we're going to create something much bigger. So let's take it up to 3600 by 2000. Very big layer here. And then let's create a new shape layer. And this shape layer is going to be a circle. So I want this circle to be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to 2000 by 2000. And then we're going to go ahead and shrink it down. And we're going to make it fairly small here. Something like so. So let's just say that's our first layer. So it's just going to be, let's make it 3 frames long. I'm going to hit Shift Command D. Okay, and the next layer we're going to do is we're going to have another circle, but let's use a repeater. So let's go to Contents, Ellipse, and let's add a repeater. And let's add quite a few instances. So maybe something like that. And let's go to Transform Repeater, and let's make them kind of spaced apart like so. I'm going to select the very first object and bring it over. And it doesn't have to be perfect here. We're just going to play around with some ideas here. Just creating like interesting shapes. So I'll add another repeater here. And what I'm going to do with the second repeater is I'm actually going to repeat this line, but I want to repeat it vertically. So we've made one repeater that makes horizontal copies here, 16, but let's add a second repeater. And let's go ahead and drop this down. Okay, so let's go ahead and zero out the X. And for the Y, let's go ahead and bring it down like so. Let's reduce the amount of copies here. And let's just bring it down to something like that. That's kind of interesting. I'm also going to collapse some of these windows over here. So there we go. Okay. So that's an interesting shape. So we'll make that 3 frames as well. Hit Shift Command D. And it's going to split that layer. So now we have another layer here. And let's do some like interesting bars for this one. So how would we do that? So I'll open up Contents, Ellipse. I'm going to go ahead and delete the ellipse here. And I'm going to select the rectangle tool. And I'm just going to draw something like so. And then I'm going to add a repeater. And let's just repeat this multiple times across. Maybe off the screen there. That's all it is. Very simple. Go to 9 frames and collapse this one. Shift Command D, split that layer. And on this next one, let's just do some type of like kind of weird shape here. So let's go into the rectangle and let's add, let's add a second shape here. So let's add another kind of square in here, something like that. And let's copy this repeater and let's paste it for rectangle 2. And there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and transform the position of rectangle 2. I'm going to bring it up, maybe something like that. That's different. 3 frames forward, Shift Command D. And for this one, let's do something a little bit different. Let's go ahead and delete the contents out of here. Let's go ahead and double click on the rectangle tool. There we go. And let's make it a square. So let's make it 50 by 50. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 100 by 100. Cool. And we'll add a repeater. And we're just going to make something like that. Let's mess with the X position. Let's bring this guy over. Bring him up. And let's add a second repeater. Let's bring this puppy down. And zero out the X. And maybe something like that. That's kind of cool. Kind of center it up there. Go forward 3 more frames. We'll duplicate this. And let's just kind of make something that's maybe full frame. And maybe we'll make it even bigger. Change the repeater. So it's something like that. That's kind of cool. And I'm just experimenting here. I'm just making, like I said, a lot of different shape layers, just for like kind of a glitchy effect. I know this is going to be like this glitchy looking piece. So, you know, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough shapes right there. So let's just preview this. Yeah, we got some kind of crazy stuff going on here. Maybe I'd like to see this maybe get bigger. It looks like it's kind of coming at us here. So I'll duplicate this one, extend this out, and then what I'll do is I'll just scale this layer up. Maybe something in here. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's just keep going. Let's actually make more shapes, more glitchy kind of effects going on here. More glitchy shapes. So we'll go and let's go ahead and change this actually to like 2 seconds. Extend this guy out here, and let's extend that out there. And we're gonna, let's see here. Shift Command D again. And maybe for this one, maybe let's just take the repeaters off. So let's just take repeater 1, repeater 2, select both of them. I held down shift to select both. Delete. And where is that single? There you are right there. So you notice how the anchor point's all the way over here and the square is right here. An easy way to get the anchor point back to the center of the square is just to make sure you have your layer selected. Go up to Layer, Transform, Center Anchor Point in Layer Content, and watch what happens. Boom. Anchor point's right there in the center of our layer now. Perfect. Okay. Shift Command D again. And let's make some really big bars for this one. So let's go into our rectangle path here. And let's just increase the vertical size. And we'll increase the horizontal depth there a little bit. And let's bring them over here and we'll add a repeater. And we will adjust X there and maybe add like 2 more. So let's make it 5. Oh, that's cool. And you'll notice like I can't select the repeating shapes here and move things around. I have to actually select the original and then I can move things around based on that. So yeah, somewhere right there. Cool. And we'll move forward about 3 frames, Shift Command D. And let's make this one, let's open up contents. Let's reduce the vertical size way down here. Something like that. And let's bring this guy up. Let's add another repeater. You can see how simple this is by just adding repeaters. It makes your shapes way more complex. And I just want 2 copies of this one. And I don't want it to be X. I want it to be on the Y. Something like that's kind of interesting. Okay, so now let's add a circle here. So let's just something like so. Maybe like right there. And let's take the fill off, but let's turn the stroke on and let's increase the stroke quite a bit. Just kind of a weird looking shape here. And we'll go ahead and close this layer down and we'll Shift Command D. And for this guy, let's go ahead and delete the rectangles. And for this one, let's turn the fill back on, the stroke off. And let's go ahead and add a repeater as well. Open that up, transform the repeater. Something like that. And if I move forward a few frames, Shift Command D. And then on this one now, if I do the opposite way, so repeater, transform, negative 431. Yeah, so it's gonna, when it plays through, it'll just jump and then back to this one. Shift Command D. Delete the contents out of this one. Actually, we're going to delete that layer altogether, and let's just see what this looks like. So I'm hitting 0 on the numeric keypad to preview this, and it's looking pretty cool. I see something with this block of squares right here. I don't like the shifting. I feel like the center of the squares is here, and when we move into here, the center of the squares is slightly to the right. So easy way to fix that is just to overlap these 2 shape layers. And then with my arrow key, I'm just going to move these guys over. So they're kind of centered up there. And that's actually kind of cool to overlap them like that for just a frame or 2. I actually like that. So let's see what this looks like. That's pretty cool. So maybe I should try that on a few of these frames. Overlap a few things. And this is just trial and error here. Very cool. So now we've got some decent glitchy shapes using the repeater to as a, kind of like a base to start our glitch effect. So let's go ahead and rename this composition. We'll just call this glitchy shapes. Click OK. There we go. Perfect. And we're going to actually create a new composition now. It's going to be our main composition, and we'll call it main composition. And we'll just make it 1920 by 1080, 24 frames per second, and we'll make it 10 seconds long. And we'll bring down glitchy shapes in here, and let's go ahead and get organized right away. Let's go ahead and bring glitchy shapes into our pre-comps here. There we go. So one of the first things I'll often do when I'm designing or animating in motion graphics is I'll bring in a music track. If there's a music track to be used, I will go ahead and bring it in. So that's what I'm going to do next.